The reason I think that CNN is willing to play this a little softer now, the reason that CNN is even willing to maybe gently correct a Democratic senator is not because they've had some wake-up call, not because they understand that the left is harming the country. It's because they understand that the left is losing. They're losing right now. And maybe it doesn't seem like that because the media is putting on a good show. Maybe it doesn't seem like that because who knows how the presidential election is going to turn out. But broadly speaking, on this argument, on the court argument, on the Amy Coney Barrett argument, on the radicalism argument, the left is losing. Here's an important poll. We've been reading some of the polls all the time. Here's an important one that doesn't even mention the phrase Trump or Biden, but it tells you a lot, and I suspect it might have something to do with the election. Gallup asks people, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? This was Ronald Reagan's famous line in a presidential debate. Gets up there, he goes, well, he's got Jimmy Carter over, he goes, you've got to ask yourself one simple question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Right, because that's what you have to know. If you're running against an incumbent, you say, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And the answer is no, then you got to vote for the alternative. And if you are the incumbent, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Well, the answer better be yes. The answer for this incumbent, President Trump, is yes. 56% of people in a survey taken September 14th through the 28th, which obviously is way into the coronavirus lockdowns, right? This is not while the economy was still booming. This is very recently this poll was taken. And still, even with the country shut down, the economy, tons of people out of work, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? 56% of Americans say yes, they are better off. They are better off even in a pandemic under Trump than they were under Obama. That's compared to just under a third, 32%, who say that they are not better off than they were 4 years ago. How about on the other degrees of radicalism? Obviously, we have BLM burning down the country. That doesn't play very well for the left. But even on some of these wacky sexual issues, they divide us on race, they divide us on sex. On the sexual issues, I don't think this is playing well in Peoria. I'll give you just an example. There's a book review out in the New York Times called Are Straight People Okay? And Other Questions About Love and Sexuality, based on some book castigating marriage. Here's just a quick line. In examining the pressure to partner with the opposite gender, we find the extortions of capitalism, the misogyny of violence against women, the racist and xenophobic erasure of non-white families, and the homophobic hatreds that pervade so much of everyday life. This is not outlier in leftist discourse. This is not an outlier. This is the mainstream. This is what you see broadcast during these crazy rallies. This is even what you see on presidential debate stages among the Democratic Party. You remember when Julian Castro, when he was still running for president, he said, we need to support abortion rights. We need to support abortion justice, not just for women, but for trans women, meaning men who put on dresses, who I guess can have abortions now. I don't know how that's possible. This kind of gobbledygook of leftist jargon, the misogyny of violence against women, racist, xenophobic erasure of non-white family. How do you, what? Huh? What is that? Homophobic hatreds and blah, blah, blah. Just complete fictive gobbledygook. And I think a lot of Americans who are not steeped in this kind of radical ideology look at that and say, I got one guy telling me make America great again. I got one guy talking to me about the erasure of the cis, trans, non-binary, non-white, misogynistic, blah, 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 blah. I think I'm going to vote for that guy. The one who I can understand, you know, the one who's speaking simple English, who says, like, don't burn down the country. Yeah, I think that guy is more persuasive. This is how President Trump, who has many personal foibles, was able to win in 2016. This is what the media didn't get. A lot of the Never Trump right never understood this. They thought that President Trump won because he's got this mean personality. He's a real angry, mean, cruel guy. And he won in spite of the policy offerings and his kind of basic view of the country. It was the opposite. Ann Coulter wrote a great book about this with a very funny title, In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome. but it actually was a pretty solid book, and it made a very good argument, which is people voted for Trump often in spite of his personality because of his policies, because he said, make America great again. That's not a Trump original. He took that from Ronald Reagan. But Trump has a good ear. He has a good ear for the culture, and he realizes that idea resonates. They voted for Trump might be talking about Mika Brzezinski's face, and maybe that's a little distasteful. But he hugs the American flag, and he says he's going to protect manufacturing jobs. Other Republicans were not going to protect manufacturing jobs. He loves the country, and he says, you know, we all bleed the same blood of patriots, and we should have no racial division, but also we should have a national border. Other Republicans were not really saying that as much. That kind of common sense rings a lot truer, I think. If you enjoyed that break from disinformation, historical revision, and screaming about the end of the world, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss another video.